Welcome to D&D Builds, where we have an outlet to make all sorts of ridiculous Dungeons & Dragons characters and stop driving the people in our lives insane with them. Today we're going to be diving into some horror and making Charles Lee Ray, or as he's better known, Chucky.
Hi, I'm Chucky, and I'm your friend to the end. Heidi-ho!
If you want access to the character sheet for this build or any of my other builds, check out my Patreon linked in the description down below. Just like these awesome people or the even more awesome player character patrons, Theo Pollard and Biscuit Gaming. But even going above and beyond that, I have my Dungeon Master level patrons, Devin Happy, Benjamin, Tristan Bennett, and GameSteak. They get additional perks including having D&D sessions hosted by me, which I stream right here on YouTube as well as over on Twitch. And then finally the patron among patrons, my god tier level patron, Kilo. I cannot thank him enough for everything he does for this channel, and I'm just so insanely appreciative of it. But now, let's jump into the build. We're building the villainous character from the Child's Play series, Chucky.
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
And while we are going to be focusing a bit more on the Charles Lee Ray version that's voiced by Wormtongue himself, this build can just as easily work for the more crazy AI version that was voiced by Mark Hamill, and I always gotta give any shout out to any Mark Hamill voice acting I possibly can because I absolutely love it. I mean, it may be a controversial take, but he's even my favorite Joker. But that's totally beside the point. We're here to build a character so you can play as a serial killer trapped in a toy's body. First things first, we gotta pick a race. Considering you're trapped in a mechanical body, I think there's no better race to pick than the newer race from Spelljammer, the Auto Gnome. They get some additional features like armored casing, so you have an armor class equal to 13 plus your dexterity modifier. You have a special ability called Built for Success, so you can add a d4 to any one attack, ability, or saving throw that you make. You have the feature Sentry's Rest, so as long as you spend at least 6 hours inactive, that counts as a long rest for you, but you're still completely aware, just in that creepy doll stare. You also get Mechanical Nature, so you're resistant to poison damage, and you have immunity to disease. And on top of that, you have advantage on saving throws against being paralyzed or poisoned. And finally, you don't even need to eat, drink, or breathe. You also gain 2 tool proficiencies, and if we're trying to make something truly evil, we can go ahead and grab a poisoner's kit and probably an alchemy kit, because I'm sure you can make some pretty horrific stuff with it. Then the last very important feature of being this race is you get Healing Machine. So you can actually be healed by the Mending cantrip, which plays in especially well considering you can actually be sewn back together. As far as a background, we're going to go ahead and grab the Criminal background. This gives you skill proficiencies in Deception and Stealth, both of which apply very well to Chucky, and you get tool proficiencies in One Gaming Set and Thieves Tools, which you can use to make traps. And if you mix those traps with your Alchemy set and your Poisoner's tools, you can really make some incredibly terrible stuff. You could even get a Criminal specialty, and under the list of specialties there's Hired Killer, so we'll just go ahead and cross out the hired part and put Serial. Another feature of this is your Criminal Contact, so that's where Bride of Chucky can start playing in. Now before we dive into some stats, let's go ahead and pick a starting class. Well, we could focus on the general ability to transfer Chucky's soul or the Bride of Chucky's soul with spells like Magic Jar, Soul Cage, or even Simulacrum. I think we're going to focus more on him being the general serial killer. And we can just say that your general existence is a result of one of those spells, even if you can't quite cast it anymore yourself. Chucky has a tendency to sneak around while people are unaware and stab the crap out of them. And there's no better class to go than Rogue when it comes to that. And the main ability score for Rogues is Dexterity, so let's dive into those stats. Using standard point buy, we're going to go ahead and dump Strength because you're a tiny little doll, you don't have a lot of strength to go around. Then we're going to use plenty of dexterity, so we're going to bump that all the way up to 15 and then get another +1 that we can apply as a racial bonus, which instead of taking 1 point into one stat and 2 points into another, we're going to take the other option where we can put 1 point into 3 different stats. Because Chucky is also pretty darn hard to kill despite his small size and being able to be thrown around, so we're going to take our Constitution, bump it up to 15 as well, and then get another +1 from that racial bonus. Then we'll take both our Intelligence and our Wisdom and just dump it. He might happen to know one voodoo spell to transfer his soul, and even though it was a quick decision just to save his life, there might have been a better choice for a place to store his soul, and that would have probably been a bit more intelligent or wise. Then lastly, we have Charisma, and we're also going to bump this all the way to 15 and then get another +1 from that racial bonus. You need to be able to be pretty good at deception to fool everybody into thinking you're just a normal toy, which is obviously very charisma based, and there's essentially a cult of Chucky, and you can't be a cult leader without plenty of charisma. charisma. Now diving into that level 1 of Rogue, you get proficiencies in light armor, which you don't actually need because your skin is already pretty tough thanks to being an autognome or just general modern plastic being pretty tough. You also get access to simple weapons, hand crossbows, long swords, rapiers, and short swords. And then you also get thieves tools, but you already have that thanks to your criminal background, and you get saving throws in dexterity and intelligence. Then you get to choose 4 skills. You already have deception and stealth, so we're going to grab sleight of hand, so it's a little easier for you to snatch up items without being noticed. We'll grab performance, so that way you can put on the act a little better that you're just a good guy doll. We'll follow it up with intimidation, because despite your small stature, you are pretty scary. And then finally persuasion, so that way you can convince somebody to play hide the soul. At level 1 of Rogue, you get expertise in 2 skills, allowing you to double your proficiency in those skills. So we'll grab expertise in both deception and performance, so that way you can really convince everybody you're nothing but a good guy doll. Also at level 1 you get access to sneak attack, allowing you to deal bonus damage to any enemy that is either unaware or just generally distracted. It's currently only an extra 1d6 of damage, which needs to be with a ranged or finesse weapon, but that damage goes up as you level up in Rogue. And lastly, at this level you also get Thieves' Cant, which is just a special way of speaking as a rogue. Then at level 2 of Rogue you get access to Cunning Action, allowing you to hide, dash, or disengage as a bonus action. Then at level 3 of Rogue, you get to choose a roguish archetype. And while we might be able to play with Soul Knife a bit because you do like handling a knife and you like playing Hide the Soul, I think we're going to go a little more straightforward and just grab an Assassin Rogue. When you choose this subclass, you automatically gain proficiency with a Disguise kit, which is going to be a little helpful, but you already look like a good guy doll, so you don't need too much help there. And you're all about complete and utter murder, so there's a great way to add to that with the feature Assassinate. Most people aren't going to be suspecting a good guy doll to kill them, and if you're taking them by surprise, Assassinate automatically makes that surprised attack a critical hit, while also giving you advantage against any creature that hasn't taken their turn in combat yet. Lastly, at this level, your sneak attack damage gets boosted from a 1d6 to a 2d6. Then at 4th level of Rogue, you get an ability score improvement, and we're actually going to skip the ability score improvement and instead grab a feat. While I was super tempted to grab the feat Slasher, since you are a slasher movie icon, you usually use a dagger being Chucky, and that tends to be piercing damage, so that would just kind of go to waste. And the Piercer feat just doesn't sound as cool, so I think we're actually going to grab the feat Actor. With your proficiency using a disguise kit and your expertise in deception and performance, this is going to be absolutely brought to another level. This feat gives you advantage on deception and performance checks when you're trying to pass yourself off as a different person or a good guy doll, and you can mimic the speech of another person or the sounds made by creatures, so you can sound a little more believable as just a doll and not as an evil spirit possessing that doll. The last thing this feat does is also gives you a +1 to your charisma score. Then at 5th level of Rogue, your sneak attack damage gets upgraded to 3d6, and you get Uncanny Dodge, allowing you to take any attack damage that you take and cut it in half. Then at 6th level of Rogue, you get expertise and 2 more skills, so we're just going to grab Stealth because it's generally helpful to be able to sneak around a bit more as a rogue and as Chucky, and we'll also follow it up with Persuasion because that's just generally helpful. Then at 7th level of Rogue, your sneak attack damage gets upgraded to 4d6, and you get access to Evasion. So now you automatically take half damage if you have to make a dexterity saving throw, let's say from a giant pot of boiling plastic being poured on top of you to melt you, and if you succeed on that saving throw, you automatically take 0 damage instead. Then at 8th level of Rogue, you get another ability score improvement, and despite the fact that you're a slasher villain icon, we're going to have to deal with the fact that daggers do piercing damage, so we'll go ahead and grab that feat Piercer. This allows you to re-roll one of the attack's damage dice if you feel like it, and if you score a critical hit, which you will be doing a bit more using the Assassinate ability, you can add 1 additional dice when determining the extra damage. Then the last thing this feat gives you is an extra bonus to either your strength or dexterity score, so we're going to boost up our dexterity by 1. Then at 9th level of Rogue, your sneak attack damage gets upgraded to 5d6. Also at this level, you get another feature from being an assassin, or in this case a serial killer, you get Infiltration Expertise. This allows you to create a complete false identity for yourself, allowing you to acquire appropriate clothes and whatever else to make yourself look official, like maybe even the box for the toy itself. This is just so fitting that it's part of the reason I went this subclass. Then at 10th level of Rogue, you get another ability score improvement, so we're going to go ahead and even out both our charisma and our dexterity scores with 1 point into each. Then at 11th level of Rogue, you get Reliable Talent. So now any skill that you have proficiency in, you can't roll less than a 10, which is insanely powerful, especially with all the skills that you have expertise in, so now nobody's ever going going to believe you're not just a good guy doll. And then just to top off this level, your sneak attack damage gets upgraded to 66. Then at 12th level of Rogue, you get another ability score improvement. So we're going to go ahead and max out our dexterity so you can be ultra stabby. Then at 13th level of Rogue, you get another feature from being an assassin. You get the feature Imposter. And frankly, this is almost identical to the actor feat we already took, but I wanted to make sure that even early on in the build, you had access to all of these features, because this allows you to mimic another person's speech just like you already can do, and you get advantage on deception checks you make to avoid detection. So I know it's a little bit of a waste, but it's still worth grabbing early because it does give you some other little benefits. And rogues do get more ability score improvements than most, so it's not like you're giving up quite as much. Additionally, at this level, your sneak attack damage gets upgraded to 7d6. Then at 14th level of Rogue, you get access to Blind Sense. This doesn't quite play into Chucky quite as much, but it does make it so you're aware of any creature that's hidden from you within 10 feet of you. Then at 15th level of Rogue, your sneak attack damage gets upgraded to 8d6, and you get access to the feature Slippery Mind, giving you proficiency in wisdom saving throws. And considering you've already dealt with being torn to shreds and being sewn back together and transferring your soul into a doll, I feel like you've already gone through the ringer mentally, so this is just a walk in the park going forward. Then at 16th level of Rogue, you get another ability score improvement, so we'll finally max out that charisma, making it basically impossible for anybody to ever assume you're not just a good guy doll. And then at 17th level of Rogue, your sneak attack damage gets upgraded again to 9d6, and you get another feature from being an assassin. You get every serial killer's dream, Death Strike. So now when somebody's surprised that you're not just a normal doll and you strike out with that dagger, which you already have advantage on the attack and it's automatically a critical hit thanks to your assassinate ability, now with Death Strike they have to make a Constitution saving throw, and on a failed save they get double the amount of damage, which between your sneak attack damage and the little bit of extra with your piercer feat, that is a crap ton of damage. Then at 18th level of Rogue, you get the feature Elusive, so now no attack rolls against you have advantage, at least while you're not incapacitated, and considering you don't actually sleep thanks to your race, that's practically never. And this can tie in a little bit thematically just because you're so tiny and just hard to hit. Then at 19th level of Rogue, your sneak attack damage gets upgraded to 10d6, and you get another ability score improvement. So we're just going to grab the feat Tough, increasing your overall hit points by twice your level, which is a massive boost to the amount of health that you have, because you are pretty damn hard to kill, otherwise there wouldn't be so many Chucky movies and shows and whatever else. Then at 20th level of Rogue, you get Stroke of Luck, allowing you to take a missed attack and immediately turn it into a hit, or you can treat any failed ability check as a 20 on the d20 dice. So it is basically impossible for anybody to ever figure out you are anything other than a good guy doll, between the advantage that you have on all of it, and you can't roll less than a 10, and if you did fail on it, you have Stroke of Luck allowing you to make it a 20, so it's going to be that much easier to get that surprise attack, allowing you to get a critical strike automatically, attacking with advantage, and a good shot at completely doubling the damage with Death Strike. And before that Death Strike even kicks in, thanks to your Assassinate ability, you're still going to be dealing a maximum of 137 damage on that single dagger thrust. Between the 2d4 from critical striking with a dagger, the extra 1d4 you get from your piercer feat, the 10d6 doubled to 20d6 from your sneak attack damage, and then just the +5 from your dexterity, and then you can take all of that thanks to your Death Strike and double it, dealing a maximum of 274 damage on a single Death Strike, which is pretty damn impressive for any serial killer doll. Let me know what you think about this build in the comments down below, especially if you do anything differently, and if there's any builds that you want in the future, let me know down there as well, because I got this build thanks to a comment, and that's a big part of what I rely on, as well as my patrons. If you want access to the character sheet for this build or any of my other builds, check out my Patreon linked in the description down below, just like these awesome people or the even more awesome player character patrons, Theo Pollard and Biscuit Gaming. But even going above and beyond that, I have my Dungeon Master level patrons, Devin Happy, Benjamin, Tristan Bennett, and GameStake. They get additional perks including having D&D sessions hosted by me, which I stream right here on YouTube as well as over on Twitch. And then finally the patron among patrons, my god tier level patron, Kilo. I cannot thank him enough for everything he does for this channel, and I'm just so insanely appreciative of it. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, let me know by hitting that like button, and I'll be here hoping you roll at least 3 nat 20s in your next D&D session, especially if you want to be the sneaky person in the party hiding out as a good guy doll and secretly murdering the townsfolk, aka Chucky.